You've mentioned the impact of the infra-spending anomalies on business sentiment. However, I would like to ask, if the BSP have an estimate on how many percentage points this anomalous impact growth in general, and how would this impact your monetary policy stance in the future? Thank you.
You know that we've been making the assumption that we would be growing at 6%. Well, but also in the past, if you look at the past, we said 6%. It turned out to be lower than that, and now we know why. We know because what we thought was going to investment wasn't going there at all. So the reason we were underperforming is, I think, in large part because of the governance issues related to infrastructure spending. So that's our estimate. The difference between what we thought growth would be in the past few years and what it turned out to be.
Thank you, Governor. Next question, please.
Good afternoon, Governor. There have been some foreign fund outflows in the local capital markets, and as a result, the Philippine peso has been under pressure. How do you plan to deal with this depreciating currency? Thank you.
There were a few days when the stock market was declining, while the peso was also declining in value. The peso was depreciating at the same time. Those were the episodes when we think foreign investors were pulling out of the Philippines. We're not going to defend the peso against those flows. We will defend the peso when we think the depreciation is so sharp and so large that we think it will become inflationary.
Thank you, Governor. Any more questions? We can proceed. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Also related to the corruption issues that sounding the country now. I think in the Senate hearing, one of the key elements that were highlighted there was there were some branches even in a government bank where huge sums of money was allowed to be withdrawn or taken out without raising red flags. So I was wondering if there are any reforms that you are looking to introduce to prevent that from happening, and if you saw some problem. Yeah.
We're definitely looking at things we can do. Actually, the things we can do, the banks would appreciate, because these banks, they were not comfortable with releasing the funds that were released, but they couldn't refuse. These funds were being taken out by people who owned the account. These were the accounts owned by contractors. And so how do you stop them? The money got into their account from our treasury. So that was a legitimate transfer, and then it was their own money in principle, and they were withdrawing their own. As a bank, how do you say no to that? You can't say, baka corruption yan. So now we're taking that decision out of their hands. We're going to figure out when the banks can actually refuse based on suspicion of corruption. And the banks, I think, will appreciate that. So if they refuse, and then the depositor will just say, well, then I'm going to move my money to another bank. But if it's the same rule for all the banks, then that helps, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Governor.
Andrea from Bloomberg. So basically, there was a presumption of regularity because it's government money, right? Specifically, how do you plan to address this? How do you plan to tighten review of money, even if it's government funds?
We're looking very, very carefully into this. One will be a threshold on how much can can be withdrawn. Now we have a threshold on how much cash can be withdrawn. Now there will be a threshold on transfers in general. Could be cash, could be digital. And so we're looking at the patterns more carefully and trying to decide on what would be a threshold. And we're also looking at other rules that will make it hard for this thing to continue.
Thank you, Governor. We have a question.
Governor, pardon the hypothetical question, but should foreign fund outflows continue and worsen, should these developments become more problematic, are you prepared to do some capital controls, or is that out of the question?
It's not out of the question, but I think we'd rather not.
Thank you, Governor. Next question, please.
After Governor, Denise Osorio from PTV. Governor, how much of a boost are we seeing to the GDP do we expect from this 25 basis point rate cut in the fourth quarter?
Do you know that? What I can say is it takes about a year for the impact to be seen, both on output and inflation, and then it peaks at 1.5 years, about 18 months.
Thank you, Governor. Next question.